Welcome along to AFTV. Glad that you can join us on our stream today. We're broadcasting, of course, across the formats of YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and on Twitch. Welcome anybody who's joining us from Twitch. And I've got a very special guest joining me tonight, Mark Goldbrige from United Stan. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. I know I'm really popular with Arsenal fans, so I'm very excited about it. I'm good though. How are you? Right.
I can see you're popular already by some of the comments that have been coming through. But no, it's good to have you on. How you been doing?
Yeah, good. I think it's readjustment, isn't it, for everybody? And you know, it's tiring at times, and it's very different. But you know, we're all doing it for the right reasons, and yeah, let's just see how it goes. But yeah, good at the moment.
A lot of United news, sort of back and forth during this period.
I think the thing about United is that there's always news. I'm sure Arsenal's the same. You know, it's cutting through the news really because every outlet talks about us. You know, we're signing Messi, Ronaldo, Bale, and it's cutting through to the good news. And there is some, you know, Jadon Sancho that's looking promising. But I just think the same with yourself, isn't it? This transfer window and what's going to happen with it. It's almost you don't know what's going to happen in relation to signings because you just don't know what money there's going to be and what markets there's going to be. But yeah, there's loads of news. I
just think there's not going to be. I keep saying that I just don't think there's going to be a load of money. And even, I mean, Jadon Sancho, how much would that cost United? What are they talking about for that? That's got to be about 80 million, isn't it?
100 million.
100 million.
Yeah, which must be about 200 million from like just in relation to the market collapsing. 100 million is not worth 100 million anymore, is it? It's probably worth a lot more. So yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult, but yeah, you just live in hope that those deals may be progressed quite far already and you know it's going to happen, but players are going to have to force them. And do they want to force them in this world that we're living in where, you know, people will just call you greedy and stuff, won't they? So yeah, you got to be very careful.
I think Dortmund will take that money and a lot of clubs, because a lot of clubs are struggling, right? And that's why I also wanted to talk to you about this subject today. I touched on it, funny enough, last night. I had Kevin Campbell, ex-Arsenal Everton player, was on the show, and I touched on it, and I was saying to him, I go, Kev, if you were still playing, if you were still a player, would you take a pay cut? And he said, no, I wouldn't take a pay cut, which I was like, oh, wouldn't you? And he gave a really good reason for it. He said, listen, he goes, as a player, he goes, the Premier League generates lots and lots of money in taxes for the government. So now in this time of need, right? And then he was saying the Premier League clubs themselves make loads of money. So he'd be willing to defer his wages, but he wouldn't be willing to take a pay cut. So that was really interesting from him because there does seem to be a lot of pressure from fans and that for some of these players to take a pay cut. Then I'm seeing today that there's a bit of a standoff between the players and the clubs. You got the players and their agents and the PFAs saying to players, don't take a pay cut. You can defer your wages, but do not take a pay cut. And then you've got obviously the owners of clubs. You saw with Daniel Levy from Tottenham. You saw with Mike Ashley, Newcastle. No surprises, them two first. But there's other owners as well pushing their players to take a pay cut in this time of, you know, obviously coronavirus, lockdown. Clubs are losing millions upon millions. What's your opinion on it?
I think you sort of flip between us, typical flip-flop football fans, aren't we? I think initially I look at what Spurs did and I thought, you know, that's just low. That is, you know, putting all your staff on furlough so you can get the good money from the government when you know football clubs make a lot of money. I've seen that Barcelona players, I think, have took a 70% cut. I think Juventus, Juventus have done the same. I think Juventus wage cuts will save Juventus 90 million. Which on the sound of it is good because it saves a lot of money that they can hopefully then put aside for their staff. But the problem is with a club like Manchester United, if you are, and look, I'd love Alexis Sanchez to take a permanent pay cut. We pay him £300 too much as it is. But the worry with United is if players go and save 90 million in wages, where does that 90 million go? Does it go into the Glazers' pocket? Does it go into the transfer fund? Does it go to the staff? There's no accountability, is there? Whereas I suppose a better scenario for me would be players did what some players are doing with their wage they're almost giving up half of it to put it towards the NHS charities or something like that. I think once players start deducting their wages, where does that money go? I think, could we not come up with a scheme where every Premier League footballer takes a 50% pay cut for 2 months, because it's only 2 months, and then it's basically a month's wages, isn't it? 50%, and that money goes into a fund that does some good. But the money going into Arsenal Football Club or Man United Football Club, where does it go then? You know,
I think that's what a lot of the players are saying. You know, if we took a pay cut, where would that money go? And there's been a lot of talk that, like, the agents and that are saying to the players, well, we want to see the accounts of these clubs, you know, because, you know what I mean, why should we take a pay cut?
It's like me saying to you, if I'm your boss, which is never going to happen, but if I say, Robbie, 50% pay cuts for what's going on in the world, and you go, yeah, look, it's terrible what's happening, I'm signing up for that. But what do I do with that 50%? You know, there needs to be some accountability. Otherwise, it's just it's a hollow, noble cause, isn't it? That's what I mean. If I was a footballer, I would be saying, look, I'll give up my 50%. What's going on is ridiculous. Most footballers will know somebody who's got it or died of it. I'll give up my 50% for a short-term period, 2 or 3 months, but I know where that's going. That's going to the NHS. That's going there. That's going there. But just giving it back to the clubs, like we know these clubs and how they work, it could end up going into the Glazers' bloody retirement fund, for all I know.
Well, you know, like with Daniel Levy at Tottenham, he was saying that basically they'd use that, you know, the bubble's going to burst and they're going to need this to pay for that and need that to pay. But you can kind of see where the players are coming from. They're like, well, yeah, that's your problem, bro. You know what I mean? We've got just like you got the club to look after, we got ourselves and our families to look after. Although there are a lot of fans who are saying that these players should give up. I mean, Sergio Hernandez with the super chat, he just said, why hasn't Ozil, the fraud, taken a pay cut? He should be on £20 a week. It's not about having a go at players because you don't rate how they've been playing, but it's, you know, a player's got a contract, hasn't he?
Yeah, and they have got a contract, and there won't be anything in a contract about something like this. When you think about all the money that the government are having to chuck up, there'll be nothing in a contract about this. I think it's a moral issue for an individual player. I would like to think that a lot of these footballers, I mean, Marcus Rashford's doing a lot for charity. I would like to think that they'll just take it on themselves. I think in this time of hardship where people are losing their jobs and they're stuck at home and the insecurity and the mental health battle, and then you've got a footballer, you know, doing a few keep-ups on Instagram and earning 300 grand a week, they've got every right to earn that. I think you're just appealing to their inner good that they won't do that. And I think it's an individual choice. And I think if a certain number of players start doing it, others will follow anyway. And I think maybe that's the route to go down.
There's Jake Hutchinson says, he said, I wouldn't give it up, but I'd supply medical equipment and food for people who really need it. Clubs don't really need it. Mostly the big clubs anyway. Although, you know, I'm sure if you spoke, like you said, if you spoke to Ed Woodward and that, he'd be like, no, we do need it.
Yeah. Well, what's going to happen, I think, with Arsenal and with United is that regardless of whether they make any money back or not, I think that the ready-made excuse is there for the transfer window to say, we were going to sign Sancho, but we can't now because we've had to spend all this money elsewhere. They've got the ready-made excuse, which is what concerns me. Yeah,
that's definitely going to happen. Talking of that, you keep going on about Sancho. I notice you haven't mentioned Aubameyang. That's another player that Man United have been linked with. Obviously, every Arsenal fan is hoping that he doesn't leave. But do you think United would go in for Aubameyang?
Is he? What is he? Is he 31, 30?
He's 30 now.
Yeah. I really like Aubameyang, and look, I do banter Arsenal fans, but I will be honest.
Hold on a minute. You call him?
Oh no. That's Lacazette.
Darren Bent.
No. That's Lacazette. French Charlie Austin. Rants called him the Gabonese Jamie Vardy. But no, I like Aubameyang. I mean, United were linked to him when he was at Dortmund, and I think I always wanted us to sign him. We never were linked to him, and he's a very good signing for Arsenal. I do like him, and I wouldn't. I suppose I would take him at Manchester United. I just genuinely would say to Arsenal fans, I can't see it happening. I really don't see it happening. From what I pick up about Aubameyang, it's very obvious that he respects Arsenal fans, and I think he might want to move because of another year in the Europa, not going to fight for the title by the looks of it. He might want to move for those reasons, but I don't think he'd go to another English club. So I would like him at United, but I'm not even contemplating it like we did with Van Persie and Sanchez. I don't think there's that will happen.
With Sanchez? Yeah. What's happening with his... I mean, he's going to be back. Talking of wages, he's going to be back at the end of the season, isn't he? I mean...
Do you want him back?
You think United will keep him? I mean, Ollie was saying earlier on that when he comes back, he's going to be part of what they're trying to do, but he's flopped, isn't he? Be real, he's flopped.
Yeah, massive flop. I suppose he's a little bit like what you've got with Ozil, really, but worse, because nobody's going to pay Alexis Sanchez. Well, even before the pandemic, no one would pay Alexis Sanchez 350 grand a week. No one's definitely going to pay him it now. I still think he's got maybe 2-3 years left on his contract. I mean, how's Ed Woodward in a job? He gives Alexis Sanchez 400, makes him the best paid player in the Premier League and gives him a 4-year contract. We are stuck with that. I think the only thing we're going to have to do... I think
Hold on. Because when you got him, you were all jumping up and down. Yeah, you're playing the piano and all stuff like that. Don't blame Ed Woodward now for this one. You lot were gassed.
I would not have paid him that money, though. I wouldn't have paid him that money. Like,
that's the only way you were going to get him, innit, was to pay him big money.
Well, yeah, and there's the
United
lesson
fans always saying it don't matter. We got it, so we can. Don't try and back out of this one now, right?
But
I remember you were giving me loads of stick. You were gassed. You're like, yeah, Robbie, what's going on? Blah blah. And I was there. I was like in pain. I was like, how has this guy gone to United? Another Van Persie.
Yeah, but then you've done it. You've done it then, because you should. I would at least would have thought you were going. He's crap now. But you lot.
I remember at the time I said to several United fans, I go, he is on the decline. He's still a good player. I still thought he'd do well at United. I have to say, I've been shocked at how bad he's been at United, because I thought he would do well, but he's been beyond poor. I've been shocked at how bad he's been.
I think that, look, I don't get to go to many of the games because I'm doing the watch-alongs, but the last time I saw him play was Southampton about a year ago at Old Trafford. And what it is with Sanchez is that his mind is there, and Pogba would play him a ball, but he just hasn't got that explosion over a yard. He can't get there. His mind, it's the typical thing we all get when we're too old. I had it when I was playing your lot 18 months ago. Your brain's willing, but your body's not giving. And that's the problem with Sanchez. And I think there are still some United fans who think, oh, he'll come back from Inter and he'll be a good player. But he's actually gone. He's lost at least 2 yards of pace. And no one's going to go near him. So the only option we've got, and it's not really Solskjaer's fault, like Arteta and Ozil, he's inherited that problem. I think he's got to go to Woodward and say, look, keep funding part of his wages, loan him, get him out of my way, because I can't do anything with that player. He's not part of the future, but he will be part of United until his contract goes, because 400 grand a week, 350 grand a week is a massive problem. And what do you do with that? And especially in this market, no one will go near him.
What about Chris Smalling? Because we've been linked with him. He's gone out on loan to Roma. He's had a great season. They've really been bigging him up over there. It's looking like, I was reading today where they're saying that Roma might not be able to, fund keeping him, especially with what's gone on with this whole coronavirus thing. And he's been heavily linked with Arsenal. Do you rate Smalling? I mean,
yeah, I do. Yeah. I remember him getting sent off against Man City about maybe 3 years ago now at the Etihad, and there was United fans using the C word and all sorts. And I was like, he's a United player. And the thing about Smalling is, I think he'd be good for Arsenal, but I don't know whether Arsenal fans would be too snobby to take him, because he wouldn't be like Welbeck or anyone like that, or even Silvestre. I think Smalling, I always describe Smalling as the best backup centre-back in the Premier League, because when we got injuries at centre-back, which we always did, every time he came in and played for 3 or 4 months, he was ridiculously consistent. And at Roma, he's been absolutely superb. The only thing with Smalling is he's a bit of a panicker when he's on the ball, but he's very good in the air. He's quick. He's a good man marker. Look, he's not Koulibaly and he's not, he's not Van Dijk, but he's certainly not Phil Jones or Mustafi. I think he's a good. It'd be a good signing for Arsenal if they could move past the fact that he has this thing attached to him that he's a crap centre back. When actually, I think he's good. I like him, and I wouldn't mind him back at United as the backup. Really,
this guy in Marble Halls TV, he said Smalling is dead food. Fergie bought some real duds towards the end of his tenure. I remember though we were actually after Smalling at the same time.
Yeah, from Fulham.
Yeah, from Fulham. An unknown driller says Smalling would improve Arsenal's defence. So there you go. You've got two opposite, ends there. Ben Rick says Arsenal can have Sanchez for free.
He'd probably go back and start banging the goals in again. I mean, he's such an oddity, Alexis Sanchez. I just don't get it. But I think I think it probably hurt you at the time, but you did well there to get rid of him. Unfortunately, Mkhitaryan didn't work out for you either, did he? But
yeah, that's true. That's true, and that's another player that's looking well. He doesn't want to come back. He wants to stay over there in Italy, but obviously Arsenal want a lot of money for him, which they might not be able to get. I mean, if the season started back, we're all hoping, fingers crossed, it does start back. If it starts back, Mark, who will finish higher? You or us?
This season, if it carries on, or
this
in
season.
a new... Oh,
this season.
Yeah, comfortably is. Yeah. How many points behind?
Comfortably us.
How many points behind?
Hold on, let me get...
I don't. I've got no idea.
I know we got a game in. I know I've forgotten about
4 points.
I've forgotten about tables now, right? Let me go into the table, right? So you guys, you're 5th at the moment on 45 points.
Yeah.
We're 9th on 40 points, but we got a game in hand
against Man City.
Yeah.
We beat Man City, so I'm not going to say. I'm not going to be honest. The way you play against Man City, you're quite good on your attack. If you had a good defense, yeah, you're going to lose, aren't you? But if you had a good defense, your attack could cause them problems because they're crap at the back.
I was a bit gutted when that United when that City game got cancelled, because I was like, it was coming up straight after you guys beat them, and I was like, this is the perfect time to catch them. And then just our luck, that game gets postponed. But I thought at that time that was a perfect time to catch them. But if we won that game in end,
I think the thing is, you drop. When you got knocked out of the Europa League, as funny as it was, I was a little bit concerned because you had a run of fixtures apart from the City game, where I was like, if they win them, and we had Man City and Spurs, and I was like, we won't win both those games. And I think, we beat City, and I think we would have beat Spurs. So, and I think you dropped a draw or something like that against the team I would have expected you to win. So, I don't think you will catch us if it comes back, simply because United with Fernandes have found a bit of momentum. You add Rashford and Pogba into that, and we're keeping clean sheets. I think United would have finished 4th anyway. But I don't think you'd catch us this season, if I'm absolutely honest.
I remember 5th place could get you into the Champions League. I mean, do you reckon that ban will get overturned for City?
I don't think this pandemic will have helped Man City's case, because it's, people are even talking, a lot of football fans are like, forget football, I'm not even bothered about football. So if you imagine what governing bodies are about hearing Man City, who effectively have cheated, and letting them have their day in court, they might not get it back in court in time. So, I think it will get overturned, because I think they'll chuck so much money at it. But it's whether they can get it overturned in time. And maybe the best solution is that they get suspended for a year anyway. So, I think 5th place probably will now. I was a bit unsure before this, but I think it probably will. Although if it all gets voided, you'll get in for 5th place, won't you, from last year?
Exactly. There's a lot of talk saying that if it did all get voided, we get that 5th place. But who knows, man? Who knows? Let's get into a couple of comments. Send your comments in for Mark. We're being nice to him today, right? Zany here says Smalling is crap, but still, I think he still thinks he's better than Phil Jones.
Oh,
that was a weird one, isn't it? That was a weird one. You set Smalling on loan and kept Jones.
Yeah, well, I think Ollie's a bit of an odd. Well, he's very inexperienced, Ollie, and I think he likes Phil Jones. He's even got a little nickname for him. But the funny thing is, between December and Christmas and January, Maguire and Lindelof, if you ever play FIFA and you keep playing these players when they're in the red zone, he just kept picking them, and everyone was going, Phil Jones is fit. And then you realise, even Ollie realises Phil Jones is crap. He won't even pick him when they're injured. So Phil Jones is dusted at United, really. I think there's talk of Newcastle. But Smalling's levels ahead of Joe. I mean, as I said, Smalling just has a bad thing that goes around him because of Jones, I think. But I think Smalling's a good player.
In his patch, and it says, nah, don't want Smalling. So he's not feeling Smalling as well. Mama Dewey says he's not the kind of defender we need. So it's kind of mixed, isn't it? It's not. I don't know. You're kind of right. It's not. Not.
I don't think he's the right sort of player, is he? It's like if I'm trying to think of an Arsenal player who's not actually that bad, but I wouldn't. I think if you're going to, there is a rivalry between United and Arsenal. If you're going to take a player from United, I think it's got to be a Martial or a Pog. You know, someone where you go, yeah, I'll take them because they're so good. I think the middle of the road players, you're like, screw that, they're a rival. You want a player like a Van Persie. I don't want to say Sanchez.
What a lot of people come on and do is they start asking like comparisons, right? So
yeah, I like these.
Right, I like when they do this. Right, one of the ones that came through the other night was Lacazette or Martial.
It's not even close, is it? It's not even close. I mean, wait, I'm on an Arsenal channel, so of course you're going to say Lacazette, but I think Arsenal fans deep down, if Anthony Martial went, you know what, my dream's to play for Arsenal, you Arsenal fans would be like, you know what, I've always rated that Martial. He's fantastic. He'd be great at Arsenal. And I think
Lacazette would be great at United. He'd bang the goals in.
Charlie Austin, isn't he? French Charlie Austin. He's all right.
Charlie Austin, but you can listen. Martial is you know what? Martial's inconsistent. The one thing about Lacazette,
not this season.
The one thing about Lacazette, even when he's not scoring goals, right? He is he works hard. He's a consistent player. I'd rather Lacazette all day long. I'll be honest with you.
I'd expect that of an Arsenal fan.
All right, what about this one then? This is Waka. Oh no, he said Firmino, obviously a Liverpool fan. Well,
Lacazette's better than him. I could do Firmino's job.
Mike Dennis says Martinelli or Greenwood.
This one really gets on my nerves. I guess that's the lot. My answer to this is, and I've even said it on the United channel and been unbiased. I like Martinelli. I really do like Martinelli, and I really like Greenwood. And I think this season we've been blessed by so many young players. I really like Saka at Arsenal, if I've pronounced it right. I like Williams at United. There's some Chelsea lads. I've never known a season in recent years where we've got so many players coming through. So I like Martinelli. I loved Henry against Van Nistelrooy and Henry.
Stop skirting around the thing.
I'm going to go Greenwood, but I don't think it's.
Surprise!
I hope we're saying this in 5 years, Martinelli or Greenwood, because then you've got two players that have fulfilled their talent. But I think Greenwood's reminds me of Van Persie. Funnily enough,
I'm going Martinelli. Martinelli reminds me of an early Alexis.
Yeah, not the one now.
Not the one now. No. Definitely not the one now. That reminds me of me. Gio with the super chat. He says, Goldbrige, why didn't you... Goldbrige? He says, Goldbrige, why didn't you go and do a watch-along for Man United versus AC Milan in the Champions League semis 2006-7? And he says, Forza Milan. Obviously, a Milan fan.
I'm doing one tonight at 7 for 99. So yeah, join me for that one if you want to watch a
you see the ones you keep doing. You're ringing that last week. You're ringing me up. Yeah, Robbie, could you come on? We're doing one for the 8-2.
I love it if you took the bait.
I'm coming on to the 8-2.
That was a good AC Milan side, to be fair. They were very good. They wiped the floor.
That was a great team. A bit like us, they are, isn't it? Where they just right up there and they just dropped like a stone. Beatbox Dre Beat says Leicester took Evans and did well. Smalling would do.
I see what you're saying.
But he's saying that basically Leicester took Johnny Evans and they've done very well with him. And he's saying Smalling would do well at Arsenal. Also, lads, who's more attractive for a player now at Arsenal or United? I think what he's saying is more attractive club to go to. Arsenal or Manchester United. Do you know what? I think Kevin Campbell was the one who was saying this yesterday, that a lot of players will be attracted to the sort of freshness of the project at Arsenal, whereas obviously United, the money and that, but that's an interesting one.
I think you are probably 6 months away from being more attractive than us, because I think in 6 months, I think Arteta has the potential to have a really exciting style of football. And at United, we don't know what that is after a year. But United we've done the transfer work that you haven't done yet. Arteta's not had a first summer, and we've still got loads to do. But I think as a player, Arsenal's still a bit of a, which way is it going to go? And I think in 6 months, you'd be able to judge it better. Whereas with United, with Bruno coming in and Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, there's a little bit more of a platform there. I mean, look, Sancho, where's he going to go? Arsenal or United? He's going to go United, isn't he? Even if Arsenal got the money. But in 6 months, it might be different.
For the money, go to United.
Nah, he's not that sort of player.
His style of play would suit us better than just.
I don't think you've got the money though, have you? So I'm a hypocrite.
Yeah, I'm saying for the money go to you. Not this just counter-attacking football all day long.
Yeah.
Hemel says, love your going for Goldbrige. Shows Mark. Your stories are funny. Big up Goldbrige and Robbie. Respect. Stay safe from Hemel.
Stay safe, mate.
Stay safe to you as well. All right, here's one for you. It's another comparison. Bunty M says Pepe or Daniel James. What are you thinking about? Why are you even pausing? You wanted Pepe as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think
Presence blood.
I think that I think Pepe is a good player, and I've wrongly been attached to calling him a flop. Again, it was Rants, not me. I like Pepe, and I think with Pepe, what you might get is a Fred scenario where the adjustment season is this, and next season he's got too much talent to continue not getting the goals and the assists. And I know he's had a few.
He was starting to pick it up before the whole sort of coronavirus thing came in. So I like Pepe. Tigo says Leno or De Gea.
It's not even close to Gea, and it isn't.
What?
Leno makes every time I watch Arsenal, Leno's flapping like he's hailing a taxi.
Get out of it! Well, look at the mistakes that Leno's made. That
De Gea. Caught you out again. Caught him out again.
That De Gea has made this season. Come on, man. This season, I've always bigged up De Gea.
He's been good this year.
Brilliant goalkeeper. But this season, Leno has been better. Easy.
It's only the Everton game where he made a mistake. He's made some cracking saves this year. So I've seen Leno make a lot of mistakes. Leno's good, but he ain't De Gea class.
All right, I've got another one for you. This is Prosper. He says McTominay or Guendouzi. That's a good one.
Yeah, I do like Guendouzi. I know a lot of Arsenal fans give him stick, and I've always, I've said it on my Twitter. I do like Guendouzi, so I can't be wrong. I think I'd take Guendouzi over to McTominay, and I do like McTominay, but United need a Guendouzi who's a little bit of a
McTominay as well. Remember the other day I came on your show and I was saying that I rate him. I didn't rate him until I saw him play live, and I was like, hey, this guy's all right, man, and he's a unit as well. And I was like, I can see why he gets a lot of game time. I thought
quite similar.
Let me do this one to get you in some serious trouble. Samuel says Rangers or Celtic.
No, I never answer this question. I get asked it all the time. It's too political.
Don't answer that. I don't want you to get killed. Right. This one, Sachin says Saka or Williams. Your boy Williams is all right still.
Yeah, I think Saka. And the only reason, and I'm being really unbiased here, the only reason is I've said for a long time I like Saka, and he played at Old Trafford before Christmas as a left winger. He was brilliant. And then I saw him play left back. I was like, he's going to get torn apart. And he was brilliant. And I think Williams is very good, but you've got to give it Saka because he's done two positions in a really difficult team to do it. So, yeah, I'd go him.
Yeah, I love that. I love how these are coming in. There's some brilliant ones coming in. This one, Xhaka or Fred?
Nah, Fred, easy. Fred's our player of the year, really, after Wan-Bissaka. So, yeah, Fred, easy.
Player of the year? He's been doing that well.
Yeah. He's had a really good season.
KFF says Bruno Fernandes, obviously, or a prime. I like the way he teams. I like the way the guy switched it up. Or a prime Ozil.
I'm not that old to remember that how when Ozil was good. When was Ozil good then?
You're funny, man.
No, I mean Ozil when he was good. And it's hard to judge, isn't it? Because Bruno's been brilliant in Portugal, but he's only been in England for a month, and I think he'll be brilliant for a long time. But he might just have you've got to be real. It could go crap. It could just be a little bounce. It won't be, but it could be. So it's very hard to determine between those two. I'm happy with Bruno, but I mean, Ozil was good when he was banging all the assists and everything.
I like this one, right? Prosper, obviously Man United fan, from his handle, he goes, who has the better academy, Arsenal or Man United? That's a good one.
I don't know enough about your academy. I mean, you've got good young players coming through. I know what United are doing, and United have been buying 15, 16, 17-year-olds for the last 5 years, and a lot of them. So I think United's academy was crap about 5 years ago, but now we are investing in it. So
you've had good players come out of it, haven't it? You've had Rashford is the obvious one.
Yeah, there's some cracking ones to come as well. So I'd say United, but I'm saying it blind. I don't know what Arsenal's is like, really.
Arsenal's is good. And obviously at the moment we've got some good players coming out of there. Obviously the one, Saka's the obvious one at the moment. Joe Willock is coming out. There's some good players coming through that academy at the moment. So, I think it's two very good academies. I think all of the fans of the both clubs want to see them get a chance. I think one thing about both clubs is that they do give young, good players a chance. I think that's a good thing about Arsenal and Man United, that, they always get a chance. This is the one. What do you reckon? Arteta or Ollie?
Well, it's got to be Solskjaer, because Arteta's not been in the job long enough. It's a bit like Ozil versus Bruno, isn't it? As I said, I think Arteta's going to be interesting in when football gets back 6 months beyond that, because that's long enough. Ollie's been here a year. He hasn't sorted his philosophy. He hasn't sorted out his best formation, but he's obviously better than Arteta because he's shown what he's about. I don't know what Arteta's all about yet. I mean, for every good result, you're knocked out by Olympiacos, aren't you? So I think it looks good as an Arsenal fan, but you just you don't know. I mean, he's too early to tell. He's a technically good player, and he's been under Pep. He suits Arsenal the way they want to play, so it'd be interesting.
Yeah. All right. Reese Gregory says Brian Robson or David Rocastle.
You know what? I didn't see enough of Rocastle, but my favourite. I remember I used to watch Match of the Day as a kid when I was playing, and I remember a clip of Rocastle for Man City on the right wing. He did this roll thing with his foot and then played it to the overlapping fullback. And I was trying to do it for 2 weeks, so I always have fond memories of Rocastle. But Brian Robson, Captain Marvel for United, they're both a little bit out of my time range, to be honest. But both great players.
Two great players, to be honest. Hemel says, super chat, he says, question for Robbie and Mark. Robbie, what is your best Arsenal moment of all time? And Mark, what is your best Manchester United moment of all time?
Well, it's easy for me. I mean, I think that beating Arsenal 99. It's just, if you could bottle that, I said it. I remember I lived in Ireland at the time, and I was in around a friend's house with about 30 United fans, and we sat on the beach at the end of it with a bottle of whiskey and a cigar. And I said, I don't want to go to bed because we'll never do this. We might do a treble if we're lucky, but we'll never do it like that, where you're in stoppage time, you're losing, your dream's dying, and then 3 minutes later, you're in heaven. To do it like that, even we probably didn't deserve it, but to do it like that, you can't top that.
Yeah, for me, obviously, it's the Invincible season. Something that has never been done since.
12 draws.
We've seen
12 draws.
Why didn't you do it then?
I'll ask
Why
you
didn't you do it? That's the same thing.
Who's the better team? Invincibles.
Same thing I said to a Liverpool
98.
fan. I said to a Liverpool fan, when they failed to do it this year, he said to me the same thing. Draws. I said, well, why didn't you draw? Why didn't you draw against Watford? What did you lose for? It's not been done. It's only been done by us.
And the treble.
Even when Preston did it, right? Yeah, but you were very fortunate in doing that treble. Even you got lucky, right? I think the Invincible thing is better. You are
no.
Look, Liverpool having the season from up until this coronavirus thing, the season of all time, and even they couldn't do it.
Look, I this is what really annoys me, and I will defend Arsenal on this. When in the modern day, I saw it with Man City 2 years ago. I've seen it with Liverpool this year. In January, people saying Liverpool are better than the treble side, they're better than the Invincibles, and I'm just like, come back in May, Let's see if you actually do it. And they haven't done it. So you're not better than the Invincible side, and you're not better than the treble side. You're a good side, but you haven't done it. So, like, I do agree with you on that. You haven't done it. But I always think, as somebody who had big rivalries with Arsenal, I think your 98 side was better than 04. I do. I thought it was fantastic. So
No. Henri, Perez, Vieira. No. No, I'm not having it.
I think your 99 side was better than all of them, and it just got sat down.
Just shut up, man.
You pushed us close. You pushed us close.
Dugout Football with Super Chat. He says, big up to Robbie for the documentary he made about racism. Really interesting to watch. Big up to Mark for all the streams. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe to you as well. And we've come towards the end of it today. I know Mark's got a flash. He's got other streams to be doing. What were you watching along to tonight?
7 o'clock on United Stand, we're doing a watch along for the 99 final. I wasn't going to do it, and then someone was like, "Oh, you've got to do it," and I'm like, "Yeah, we've got to do that. We've got to sit back and enjoy." What?
You don't watch along to any games you lose, do you?
No.
You'll watch along to the one earlier in the season, isn't it? We're 2-0 at the Emirates. No?
I'd rather watch us win a trophy. History FC, the History Channel. That's what we are.
Well, listen, Mark, thank you very much for coming on today, mate. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out Mark on his brilliant channel, the United Stand, #1 Man United channel. And also don't forget to subscribe here as well on AFTV. We'll be back tomorrow. We got Turkish on tomorrow, so looking forward to having him on. And have yourself a great evening. Stay safe and keep it here on AFTV right throughout this coronavirus crisis. We'll keep you entertained, and we'll be back tomorrow.